To make a long story short, my female 25 husband, 33, just walked out on us a little over a month ago. He completely just up and abandoned me and our daughters, toddler and kindergartner. He has an ex-wife, 30s, and they have a tween daughter from their marriage. No formal custody was involved, but we would usually get my stepdaughter every other weekend, and my husband would pay his ex the child support every month on the first when he got paid. My husband's excuse for just leaving us in the dust was that I am damaged goods and he couldn't hack it being a father anymore. He didn't feel any joy in parenting and wanted to live a free life. So he changed his number, blocked me on all social media, changed all his passwords, and told his friends and family not to speak to me. It turned my entire life upside down. I've been a stay-at-home mom since our eldest was born. I got my degree and we talked about me going back to the workforce once she entered kindergarten this year in the fall, but it was nothing set in stone. My husband gave me a weekly allowance to buy groceries, pay bills, diapers, anything the kids needed, etc. Of course, I would always stash a little bit away, but he was the breadwinner in our relationship. My husband's ex-wife messaged me earlier today asking if we could talk about something serious. So I asked her what was up. She asked if I could pay her the child support my husband usually gives her every month on the first. I curiously asked her how much because my husband never told me exactly what amount he gave her. I never thought it was any of my business. She told me she needed the $900 he usually gives her because both she and her new husband are struggling to pay their bills, and they rely on that child support to make their rent payment, and they were behind. I told her I couldn't do it because, truthfully, I can't. I'm still waiting to get an appointment so I can receive government benefits because of what little money I've saved. It's gone now after paying every single bill by myself to keep a roof over mine and my kids' heads, making sure they're fed, etc. There's no way I can spare almost $1,000 for my husband's ex-wife. She blew up my phone, calling me a piece of crap, a stupid witch, saying she could understand why he left me, etc., threatening to keep my stepdaughter away from my kids and me because we are bad influences. And my stepdaughter will struggle because I can't fork over money I literally do not have. I tried apologizing, but it was no use. It just ended with her calling me more names. Am I the idiot here? I feel horrible that my husband has left us both high and dry, but I also have to look out for my own 2 kids. I'm skipping meals to ensure they have enough to eat, and I'm scrambling to figure out how I will survive without my husband's help now. Part of me is really conflicted, but I can't give his ex-wife what I don't have. Not the idiot. Honestly, I'm confused why the ex-wife would ask you and why you would even debate it internally. This is a no-brainer here. Your soon-to-be ex-husband needs to handle his responsibilities. The audacity of her to even ask you is off the charts. I guess because whenever we would have my stepdaughter, I'd be the one to take her shopping, a new manicure, etc. My husband would pay for it, but she never wanted him to take her out, just me. So I guess her mom just had it in her head I had a secret stash of money somewhere. I feel like the husband was telling his ex that OP came from money, and that is why she doesn't work and can afford to take stepdaughter shopping, etc. He probably used this as an excuse when his ex asked for more money. Oh, I can't, I'm giving you my whole paycheck already. Wife refuses to give me any more money, I barely have enough to buy myself a hamburger for lunch. He set this up perfectly. X is going to spend all her energy going after OP, and OP is going to have to spend all her energy defending against X, while no one is looking for him. What a miserable human being your husband is. I'm sorry. It's not your responsibility, legal, moral, or otherwise, to provide for your husband's daughter. Period. End of discussion. Even if you had the means to do so, you shouldn't consider it. I'm sorry for the mess you're in right now, but offer her to go halvesies on a private detective to track him down. OP, you said no formal custody, so does that mean no child support agreement for ex-wife or stepdaughter? If so, file first. Child support is allocated in order of who files first, so you should file before she does. Then get a divorce lawyer immediately and take him to the cleaners. I married my husband 3 years ago. He was divorced and previously widowed. He has 2 daughters, Annie, who's now 26, I believe, from his first marriage, and Amy, who is nearly an adult from his second. My husband told me about his late wife, his ex-wife, the issues he had as a blended family when he remarried, and Annie wasn't on board with him remarrying, and this strain ended his second marriage. He was also honest that Annie never forgave him for remarrying and never wanted anything to do with Amy or him after she turned 18. He did not tell me the major role he played in all of this. I found this out 3 weeks ago at a dinner with his extended family. The story as I now know it. When Amy was a young child, she took a special interest in a necklace that belonged to his late wife. My husband gave the necklace to Amy, which upset Annie because all her mother's possessions were meant to go to her. My husband told Annie it was just one item, and she needed to get over it because Amy was entitled to have something too. Annie had brought up that it was the piece her mother wore the most. My husband told her it was a special gift to give her sister and that she was being selfish. His ex-wife told her that her mother would want something as special as your sister to have a piece of hers as well. Annie never got over it. She tried to take it from Amy and was punished. The last time she saw any of them, she told them all to go to the bad place. Amy still has the necklace too. Unfortunately, she's let it get into a bad way and talks about it as if her dad bought it for her. I was shocked. I would never have expected my husband to be that way. He was very unapologetic about it and told me Annie would have to get over it someday. I told him he should be ashamed of himself, that he should have allowed Annie's mother's possessions to be hers to do with as she chose, that Amy didn't give a crap about his late wife or the significance of those items, but Annie would have. I told him he would be incredibly lucky if his daughter ever spoke to him again, and I wouldn't blame her if she never did. He was furious I judged him. His family said I should take my husband's side over his daughter, who I don't even know, except for the nephew and niece who told the story because they also think my husband did a messed up thing. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, but your husband certainly is. Amy certainly was not entitled to her stepsister's dead mother's jewelry. The necklace was likely just the big flashpoint. There's a lot more to the story that you might never know. Likely, Annie was not given what she needed emotionally after her mother's death. You are married to an A-grade idiot. OMG, who in their right mind takes their child's inheritance and gives it to another just like that? This sounds like Cinderella's father getting remarried, and the stepmom saying she should be grateful her mother's necklace is going to a special girl like her stepsister. It's insane. Second this, but I feel there are more dysfunctional things here. OP doesn't know the age of the husband's oldest daughter. How damn closed is the husband? Also, his behavior is a very big red flag. His family arguing that OP should stick to her man no matter what is also a big red flag. I would really evaluate if the values between the people involved are aligned enough for a life together. I couldn't fathom being married to a man like that, and the fact he has no problem with no contact with one of his daughters shows he doesn't care. Thank God you don't have kids with him, and please don't ever. He obviously doesn't know how to raise them, and his family is just like him. I hope you reach out to Annie. I know this is petty, but somehow steal the necklace and give it to her. I just can't imagine how painful that situation must have been to her. She needs someone to look out for her. Hopefully you can leave this guy and can build a relationship with Annie. I'm essentially ready to divorce over this. He's not the man I believed him to be, and I would forever worry that my children, 2 adult kids, would be messed over if I died before him. He has shown how insensitive he can be to his own child. I don't see why he'd care about my grown ones more, or why he'd care for me more than his first wife. My daughter is a young child and has only been in remote schooling until a few months ago, so she hasn't physically been in school for long. Recently, she told me she didn't want to pack lunches anymore and wants to eat what the other kids were eating. She had not wanted to eat her favorite foods and opted to ask for more pizza. I asked her why she didn't eat her favorite foods anymore, and she told me she wanted to be able to sit with the other students. I was shocked because I didn't know she wasn't sitting with the other students, and she told me it was because her teacher made her sit in the other room by herself during lunch because she brought smelly foods. To be clear, growing up, I was also targeted by teachers who wouldn't let me bring shrimp or anything with garlic or onion because they hated the smell. So I try not to pack anything that would cause them to target my child, like spam sushi or egg fried rice. I was really upset because she's half Chinese, but she clearly looks Asian, and I felt it was my childhood trauma happening to her. I called her homeroom teacher for a meeting, and the teacher said they didn't make her sit in the other room to eat, but my daughter told me to ask her best friend, who confirmed that she had been. Another teacher confirmed she had seen her eating alone, and her homeroom teacher switched stories that she had, but it was because my daughter brought a persimmon to school and it was distracting the other kids because they thought she was eating a tomato, and she didn't want her distracting the other students by having foreign food. She refused to believe it was inappropriate and said she didn't see anything wrong with sending her to eat alone. I had to go to the principal and take my daughter to another homeroom to finish up the school year because that teacher said it only happened once despite my daughter swearing up and down it happened every few days for weeks before she told me. She told me specifically of a time she brought tomato egg stir-fry and a boy bullied her because it looked like blood, and the teacher sent her to eat in the other room rather than telling him to stop. My husband doesn't believe her saying the teachers would have said something instead of sending her to eat alone, but I don't think he understands because he's white. Not the idiot. This is extremely inappropriate of the teacher, and in my opinion, discrimination. I've worked with kids before, and at that age, the only reason I can see for separating a child for meals is if they had food that was an allergy danger to other children, or vice versa, maybe. But this would be addressed with the parents within 24 hours to ensure it didn't have to happen a second time. 100%! Also, the teacher shouldn't even be teaching if they're going to discriminate and punish a kid just because she doesn't have Western foods. This traumatizes the kid and makes her feel embarrassed about her ethnicity. I am so angry on OP's behalf. What kind of teacher is this? When you're in a position of power like the teacher, don't ever let crappy things like this slide. In no way are you the idiot. This deserves to be reported. But what is wrong with your husband? Doesn't he believe his own daughter? Especially at that age, what motivation would this child have to lie about something like this? What's wrong with him? I'm white, and even I understand that sending her to eat alone because her foods are viewed as foreign isn't okay. Your husband needs to understand that. Children need to be around new foods. It's how they learn about parts of cultures. This is an issue with the teacher, not the children. For as long as I've been with my husband, mother-in-law has been claiming she is deathly allergic to eggs and ginger, and she can't have a lot of salt in her meals. So I've been actively avoiding these ingredients in meals I cook. She has even had allergic reactions to the food she suspects has those ingredients. About a week ago, I hosted a dinner for sister-in-law's birthday and made sister-in-law her favorite salted caramel mousse. It's easily one of the best things I make. This recipe has taken me years to make perfect, and I keep it a huge secret, but it has a lot of egg and salt in it. So, keeping in line with mother-in-law's dietary requirements, I make her a simple chopped caramel mousse with no eggs or salt. Dessert rocks around and I bring out a tray of the salted caramel mousse, put it on the table and tell mother-in-law, "I'll be back with your mousse in a second. Don't eat this one, it's salted caramel." I go to the kitchen, come back, and mother-in-law has already taken a salted caramel mousse, which was meant for me, and is shoveling it into her face as quickly as possible. I yell, "No, mother-in-law, it has egg and salt in it." She keeps eating and says, "I know, but everyone says it's so nice and I wanted to try. A little bit won't hurt." She devours the entire mousse, which wasn't a small portion, and asks if there's any more because it was so yummy. I tell her no, there isn't any more, but what's going on? I thought she was allergic to those ingredients. She tells me she's technically not allergic, but she doesn't like the taste of egg. It makes her sick, so she tells people she's allergic, and that way people don't make her food with those ingredients. She still eats cakes, pies, etc. where she can't taste the ingredients. She doesn't like to eat them if she can taste them. I tell her she shouldn't say she's allergic if she isn't. There's a big difference between not liking something and being allergic to something. I've always gone out of my way to avoid those ingredients in her food and even purchased separate bowls and spoons for cooking her food to avoid cross-contamination. I've been substituting ingredients for years to ensure I'm not feeding her something she's allergic to. She laughs and says it's not a big deal. Lots of people do it. She also told me I'm a drama queen. I told her it was a big deal. She could have just told me she didn't like it. It would have saved me a fortune in substituting ingredients or making separate meals. Everyone at the table agreed that claiming to have an allergy when you're not allergic is a crappy thing to do. She sent me a message yesterday saying that I shouldn't have called her out in front of everyone. Now no one will take her seriously when she says she's allergic. I replied, "Well, you're not allergic to them, so it doesn't really matter, does it?" She texted my husband that she's not coming over unless I apologize to her for calling her out in front of everyone because I made her feel bad. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. She lied, got caught in that lie, she ate the mousse in front of everyone, and then gets all but hurt that you called her out on her lie. And now she wants you to apologize? For what? I'm sorry you got caught lying? Her not coming over sounds like a win-win to me. That conniving piece of... How rude, she is a piece of work. Not only did she lie for years, she stole your portion. She straight up stole your dessert portion and dared to ask for more. I'd stop cooking for her altogether. She made you spend additional time and money on ingredients to substitute when a simple, "Oh, I dislike the taste" statement would have sufficed. Never apologize. This is your hill to die on. People like her make people with actual allergies not get taken seriously. If I were in your shoes, all she'd ever eat at my house from now on would be omelets and pretzels. My sister is obsessed with her appearance and staying young. She's 26 and she's already had some plastic surgery, a nose job and a boob job, and she also gets Botox and fillers. She spends hours and hundreds of dollars on her hair, nails and makeup, and she has to be dressed to the nines 24/7, 365. She likes to talk about this concept of something called looks maxing, which is maximizing your beauty potential. Before, she kept it to herself, but now she's pushing it onto me. She likes to point out how I could dress or style my hair better, or what plastic surgery could improve my appearance. She flipped out when she saw grey hair on me, and I told her I had no plans ever to dye my hair. I just turned 30, and her birthday gift to me was a gift certificate for plastic surgery. I'm not kidding. I honestly don't care if someone has surgery or dyes their hair, but it's not for me. I don't care if I get grey hair, and Botox scares me. I'm not a supermodel, but I think I look like a regular, okay-looking woman. My sister thinks I'm rude for not using her gift, but I think she's rude for giving someone plastic surgery as a gift when they didn't ask for it. I could ignore the looks-maxing nonsense, but this ticked me off. I don't know why it bothers her so much when I have never commented on her choices or been negative. It's become a problem between us because we're so far apart. Not the idiot. A gift of plastic surgery to someone that didn't want it? Talk about insensitive. Sell it online and use the money for something you want. Her insecurities are hers. I'm glad they're not yours. It's not like she bought you new outfits or something that you didn't like. She's encouraging you to have an operation for vanity reasons only. Jeez. Your sister is allowed to do what she wants, but she shouldn't push her ideals onto you and think it's okay. Be petty and gift her some therapy sessions. Pretty sure she needs it more than you need plastic surgery.